Greetings, friends. I, Miles the Magnificent, shall bring to you the plot to Detective 33. The Batman Wars against the Dirigible of Doom. Bruce Wayne is walking through Manhattan when a giant red dirigible appears. The dirigible shoots red beams that make the buildings crack and explode, hurling debris on the crowds below. The dirigible announces that it has come to rule the world. It is driven by a group called the Scarlet Horde, who swear they will attack again if they are met with resistance. Bruce Wayne helps in the disaster relief efforts. Thousands are left dead. When Bruce Wayne returns home to Wayne Manor, he presses a panel, and part of the wall opens. This reveals his secret laboratory. He goes through his files and determines that the culprit is Dr. Carl Kruger, a man with a Napoleon complex. Kruger recently escaped from an insane asylum and is said to have been working on a new type of death ray. Bruce opens the chest where he stores his bat suit and prepares his silk rope. He drives to Kruger's mansion in his car. The Batman climbs up the side of Carl Kruger's house and sees the Scarlet Horde inside. Carl Kruger is commanding 3 other scientists named Bixley, Ryder, and Travis. They have an army of 2,000 men. The scientists leave, and Kruger talks to himself about how he will be the next Napoleon. The Batman enters and throws a batarang at his face. Kruger reveals that there is a sheet of invisible glass protecting him. Batman is knocked out from behind by a hand with a gun reaching out of a painting. Kruger ties Batman up and sets a bomb to go off in an attempt to fake his own death. Fortunately, Batman has a steel blade hidden in his boot, so he is able to cut his bonds and escape. The bomb goes off just seconds after Batman leaves. The Batman visits Ryder and threatens him in bed. Batman tells Ryder that he'll be back later. Ryder immediately drives to find Kruger, and Batman follows him in the Bat-Gyro. This leads Batman to the secret hangar of the dirigible. Batman breaks a glass vial that covers his plane in black smoke, so it's invisible from the ground. He climbs down and infiltrates the hangar, taking out the guards with gas. He destroys their stockpile of death rays by shooting them with a gun, which makes them all explode. Batman tries to destroy the dirigible with an axe, but Kruger arrives and shoots him in the back. Kruger then tells a guard to watch Batman's body while he prepares a death ray. Kruger intends to use the death ray to completely disintegrate Batman. He explains that the death ray is a fusion of ozone gas and the gamma ray. While Kruger was setting up and explaining all of this and rambling on, Batman has knocked out his guard and switched costumes with him. Kruger believes he is dead, but he makes it safely home in his plane. His bulletproof vest saved him from more serious harm. He works all night in his laboratory, sprays his plane with a mysterious chemical. The next day, the dirigible attacks again. This time Batman is ready in his plane. The dirigible tries to blast him with a death ray, but the chemical he used makes his plane immune. The dirigible sends a fighter pilot out to shoot Batman down. Batman pilots his plane straight into the dirigible, destroying both of them in a massive explosion. Batman parachutes to safety, but Carl Kruger is still in the fighter plane, trying to kill him. Batman ties his rope to Kruger's plane and drops his parachute. He climbs onto the wing, and Kruger tries to shoot him with a gun, but misses. Batman throws a gas pellet at Kruger, which knocks him out and causes the plane to crash. Batman leaps out before the plane hits the water, and Kruger dies. Bruce Wayne later relaxes at home. The radio announces that they have recovered Kruger's corpse and captured the entire Scarlet Army. And that is the plot of Detective 33. I have been Miles the Magnificent. And you're welcome.
What did you think of the Dirigible of Doom?
A great story. I noticed right off the rip that the drawing style is much, much, much better. I know this was before Fantastic Four, but it's reaching that level now. So before, it felt almost like rough sketchings and rough drawings and stuff like that with some color in them. Now it's starting to actually get to the point where Fantastic Four began at. This is a lot cleaner with the drawing style, and there's even points in the story where you can see up closes of Batman and like you can see his actual face. They are playing a lot more into the actual bat aspects of like his cape and all that. I noticed that the bat plane, you could actually make out a real bat face on the front of the plane, so that was really cool.
The one thing that's still not yet defined is the Batmobile. It is still just a large sedan, red.
Yeah.
They are definitely leaning way more into the Bat motif. This particular villain, Dr. Kruger, having the megalomania, I think I'm Napoleon. This is Batman starting to get more supervillainy type villains.
Like right off the rip, he comes in and he's just wanting to take over everything. I believe the radio someone was listening to, or it was Batman listening to it, said like thousands dead as from that ray. So just coming in straight off, just being a absolutely terrible villain.
He has this super weapon, gives him that super villain edge, and he doesn't care who knows it.
Mm-hmm.
In Manhattan, he's going to wipe him out, and then he's going to come back and do it to another city. He has 4 henchmen. This is a very Bond-esque villain. Have the Kruger, who's the main bad guy, and then he'd have the 4 lieutenant scumbags. And they had their own special, unique gifts. Now, we didn't see what these guys' gifts were. There wasn't enough pages. But they were 4 scientists, they said. He was gathering people like himself to rule the world.
Yeah. This is the first instance of like a real supervillain rather than just like the villain of the week.
Well, they had Dr. Death, and then they had the Mad Monk, who was a werewolf.
But they weren't doing anything of this scale.
The werewolf was just being a werewolf. I mean, the monk wasn't really... If Batman had just let him have Julie Madison, it wouldn't have mattered. Dr. Death was killing off rich people to get money. Neither of them had the scope that Kruger has. Kruger literally wants to rule the world. Dr. Death is a threat to the people of Gotham. The monk was a threat to the people of Transylvania. But Kruger is a threat to the planet.
Yeah.
And his ray is almost like giving somebody an atomic bomb.
Yeah, pretty much, because, again, like they said, the scale of the amount of deaths and stuff that he was causing was pretty massive.
Now, Batman used several gimmicks here. The death-defying escape after death-defying escape after death-defying escape.
Yeah.
It's like every time you turned around, Batman was breaking out of dying. Kruger always was surprised Batman was still alive.
It literally escaped death about 3-4 times. Even I was surprised when it kept going. I was like, wait, how many times is he actually just going to continue getting out of these situations?
What was your favorite one?
I have to go with either the second to last one, when the dude gets, like, evaporated, his suit on.
Right, Batman switches costumes with the bad guy after knocking him out, and then Kruger comes in and uses his death ray directly on what he thinks is Batman. Then we have a puff of smoke left, and he thinks Batman's dead. Of course, Batman was not. You see him later in the Batplane take the villain mask off. You have the ultimate weapon, right? The Dirigible of Doom. He invented a chemical that he could spray coat onto the Batplane that prevented the ray from hitting him. So he runs the Batplane into the Dirigible of Doom, destroying it. Kruger's looking at that from his biplane next to it, saying, oh, well, at least Batman's dead. He's destroyed my weapon, but at least he's dead. But then you see a parachute, and Batman's on the parachute. He throws a bat rope at Kruger's plane, hooks onto it, then gets into the plane and gasses Kruger, and it ends up causing him to crash into the water and die.
Yeah.
Batman's really demonstrating some serious skills here.
Yeah, even as they had mentioned in the beginning on his backstory, when he's training and stuff like that, they finally get into it where they say that he has trained himself to be at, like, peak form, like peak human self.
Somewhat like you.
Something like it. Yeah, so I thought he was definitely displaying his strengths here.
These stories have gotten more action-packed as they go. As you get with supervillains, there's no mystery because they want you to know who they are. Mm-hmm. Now, art-wise, I agree with you that the art had totally improved. I think Dr. Kruger looking like Napoleon, he totally does.
Yeah.
The Batplane design was great. The crowd scenes in Manhattan, panic, the terror, the kid that's in the kind of the Oliver Twist situation where his shirt's torn and you can tell he's a ragamuffin that likes to play in the middle of the street kind of a thing.
Yeah.
And then the explosions too. In that one panel where you have Kruger in the side airplane and he's looking at his dirigible be destroyed, kind of off to the side. It's almost like there's a level there. You can almost see, it doesn't look like it's on top of him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The artwork is way better. What did you think of Dr. Kruger, Napoleon?
I'd give him a yay. I thought finally we're getting into the stronger villains and the stuff that Batman is known for, and the stuff that he's known for taking on, and it's a big responsibility for something like this. So I definitely thought this was a great villain.
This is definitely a Batman dealing with somebody who has a situation way outside of Batman's comfort zone. So I give Dr. Kruger and his Napoleon complex a yay.
You got to give it to Batman, though. He really did just kind of jump into action without really questioning anything.
Let us go to the question of why we are here. We are examining the Batman issues leading up to the famous Batman 37, the introduction of Robin the Boy Wonder. DC did it because they wanted to lighten up the character. We're asking, did they need to? So, the official Bat death count for this particular episode. Why don't you fill him in on the Bat death count, Ryan? And that includes people that Batman actively killed, or Batman pretty much just let die because he didn't care.
So I looked it up real quick, and apparently the average crew size for a blimp, or I guess what they're calling the dirigible, would be anywhere from 6 to 12 people. So if you're looking at it from the maximum amount of people that he killed, it's 12 on the dirigible, 1 that got the evaporated, and then Dr. Kruger, or Mr. Kruger, whatever.
Dr. Kruger, yes.
Dr. Kruger.
Yeah, Napoleon, basically.
And so that's 14 people.
Yeah, so Batman had a pretty good death count day today.
If we are looking at the minimum, though, then it's 6, because you said he had only 4 henchmen. But this is assuming he had more henchmen than just the 4 that we know about.
That we're on,
so
yeah.
The minimum is 6 people. The maximum is 14.
We'll continue the look, and then at the end, when we get to the Robin first appearance, we will decide whether or not DC really needed this lightening up.
Atomic batteries to power. Turbines to speed.
Roger. Ready to move out.